I'm here today with Mr. Kelly Forbes, Director of Bilingual Acquisition and Cultural Knowledge at Crooked Oak Public Schools in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Hi, Kelly. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing today?
I'm great. I'm so pleased that you're here. Kelly brought some really great clips today to illustrate the idea of fluency development as a literacy concept in both elementary and secondary classrooms. So let's take a look at these clips and then we'll discuss what we're looking at.
All right, go ahead and get out your books, okay? Get out your treasure book, and we're going to open up to the 7 Spools of Thread story, yeah?
That's on 45.
We're gonna, what page is it?
45.
You think 45? Now,
51. 45. Yeah, 51.
yeah, look at page 51, okay? Look at page 51.
It says like one story.
Now, did we already read this story?
Yes.
Yes. Are we going to read it again?
Yes.
We are?
Yeah.
Who can tell me what we're going to do? Review the story, yes? Anyone know another word for review? That's another word for review, yes?
Discuss.
To discuss? Perfect. That's a really good word. Another one?
Look over.
So we're going to look over, yes. We're also going to summarize. Yes? Summarize means what?
Short version. Short version.
Oh my gosh, you guys are perfect. We're going to do a short version of the story, yes? So we're going to go through it kind of quickly, okay?
Okay.
All right, so what's the title of this story?
7 Spools of Thread.
7 Spools of Thread. Now, look at page 53. 53, it's the one that has the picture, okay? In the book, we're only going to look at the pictures, yes? And then we're going to read what it says on the board, yes? And on the board is the what?
Sentence.
The sentences that make the what?
Story.
The story, yes. It makes the summary, okay? So, can we read it together? It says, the 7 brothers were a disappointment to their father because they argued and quarreled all of the time. They would argue and quarrel all day until the moon beamed down from the sky. So how many brothers do we have? 7. And what do they do all the time? They argue and quarrel, yes? So in this picture, do you see all 7 brothers?
Yes.
And who is in the very middle?
The dad.
The dad. Do you think he's very happy right now?
No.
No? How do you think he feels? Can you infer? Can you think about what he maybe feels? What does he feel?
Sad.
Why would he feel sad?
Because they're fighting.
Because they're fighting. They are what?
Arguing.
Arguing and what?
Quarreling.
Quarreling. Yes? And did they do it for a little bit or for all the time? How do you know?
It tells you.
What does it say?
Quarreling.
Until the moon beamed down from the sky. So does the moon beam? Yes. Does the sun beam?
Yes.
Does the moon beam too?
Yes.
All right, good. All right, now look at page 54. What is this a picture of?
The sheep. The sheep.
The chief? Is this the chief?
The king.
Is he the chief or the king?
King. Chief.
Well, who is this man talking to?
7 brothers.
The 7 brothers. Do you know what about?
The money. So they can have the stuff of their father.
So maybe they can have the stuff from their father. Let's go ahead and read the summary and what it says, all right? It says, one day the old father died and was buried. Then the village chief called all of the brothers together to tell them of the inheritance their father had left behind for them. Stop. All right, that's a lot. What does that mean? One day, what happened to the old father?
He died.
He died and was what? They buried him in the where?
Ground.
In the ground, right? Then, this man, who is he? The village what?
The chief.
The village chief, yes? He called all of the brothers what? Together to tell them of the what?
Inheritance.
Inheritance their father had left behind for them. What is inheritance? Who knows? What does that mean, inheritance? What vocabulary word does that go with? Inheritance is the father's what? The father's The father's, yes sir?
Possession.
Possessions. Perfect. How do you say that in Spanish?
Possession.
Posesiones. So the father's possessions, his inheritance. So after he died, he left all of his possessions. All of the inheritance to whom? His sons. Now the second one, it says, the brothers still argued because they each thought they deserved what was left from their father. So what were they saying?
They want everything. It's mine.
It's mine, I want that. And the other one said what? No, I'm the oldest, it's
Mine.
well, I'm the youngest, it's
Mine.
well, I'm in the middle, so it's
Mine. The father like me.
well, I'm the smartest, so it's
Mine.
so what were they doing? Arguing, okay? And all together, the very last one says, they began to quarrel and ended up rolling on the ground, hitting and kicking each other. They were so mad, I want it! And they were pushing each other and roll over the ground. Is that nice? No, that's not nice at all. They argued and they what? Quarreled, yeah? They were kicking and hitting each other. Is that good or bad?
Bad.
How do you think the father would have felt?
Embarrassed.
Embarrassed. That's a good word. And also very what?
Disappointed.
Disappointed and sad. That would be awful, yeah? That's awful. All right, now, on your papers, okay? You have just 3 sentences I want you to write, okay? Just 3 things, just to practice, okay? And you can work together in your group if you want to, yeah? But I want everyone to write, okay? 3 sentences. The first one says, I think working together leads to success because... All right? Who can give me an example? How does working together lead to success? How did the brothers find success? Yes. By working together, okay. But what success did they achieve? Yes.
When they started making the cloth.
When they started making the cloth, and then what did they end up getting?
Gold.
The gold, yes. So that was their success, okay. The second one says, I can work together with my friends more when...
We work together. Oh, wait.
What's the time whenever you guys work together?
In class.
In class, in the playground. Where else? Maybe to help clean up after lunch in the cafeteria or after school. You can all work together and pick up trash and throw it away to have a nice clean room, yeah? Or if you're at home and your mom is so busy cooking, what could you help do?
Help.
You could help maybe clean or clean the dishes, yeah. So whenever we work together, it can help us, yeah? And the last one says, my teacher has taught me to work together by... How have you learned to work together in class? Yes?
Work.
Working on your work together? Yeah? What if someone doesn't fully understand? Can you help someone? Yeah, the teacher can help also, and you can help, yeah? So go ahead, and I'm going to give you some time to write down these 3 sentences and your answer, okay? Yeah, you ready? I'm going to give you guys about 7 minutes, yeah?
Yes.
7 minutes. All right, go. Go ahead and write. If you need help, raise your hand. And like I said, you can work together if you need to. There is no right or wrong answer. This is just whatever you think, yeah? And if you want to, you can even put a summary in from the story. Okay? If you want to do it according to the story, you can also. Shake it like a Polaroid picture. Has an icebox in his heart where it used to be. He doesn't have to go to the emergency room, right? Because he has an icebox there. His heart is what? Broken, yeah. Just turn on the radio for like 17 minutes, yeah? You'll find a lot more of similes and metaphors. They're all over. All right. Uh-oh. All right. Let me exit out of it. you get it? All right. Did you realize that there were so many? Yeah. Yeah, did you know all those songs?
No.
Did you know some of the songs though?
Yes.
Whenever you heard those songs, did you say, oh, that's a simile before in the car? No. But now do you see it? Do you recognize it?
Yes.
You didn't realize they were all around you all the time. All right, so what are some other kinds of figurative language here? Who can read these for me? We have what?
Personification, metaphors, similes, idioms, alliteration, hyperbole, onomatopoeia.
Exactly. But did you know that they're also in Spanish too?
Yes.
Remember I said those Latinos are just as crazy as we are right here? All right, so I have them over here in Spanish. Who can read them for me in Spanish?
Personificación, metáfora,
Metáfora, símil,
idioma, aliteración,
hipérbole, and
onomatopeia.
onomatopoeia. I can't even say onomatopoeia in English. That's really hard, yeah? So for those of you that speak Spanish, they're almost the exact same, okay? So don't get confused. All right, we're going to have a little pre-assessment. I want to see what you guys know, okay? So I need you be with one partner that's next to you, okay? One person that's next to you. I'm going to give you the paper, and if you'll just pass it back for me. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Here we go. 2, 3, 4.
Kelly, I love the way that you built fluency into what you were doing. It just seemed to be an effortless part of the subject area concepts that you were working on. I'm wondering, can you tell us a little bit about what you were doing here in these 2 lessons to kind of help teachers understand what they're seeing?
Yeah, I really wish that we had time to actually show the lesson in its entirety. However, just for the purposes of this training video, what I was really trying to do, though, is incorporate the students participating in the lesson at the same time. I try to be really cognizant about not being the sage on the stage, per se, and rather having the students participate in the lesson. So whenever we are reading, that we're trying to do that together. And I like to do it out loud as well, not just putting them in groups and things of that nature. I feel like it also does help them relax a little bit more and get to participate in the reading process if they don't feel comfortable by themselves.
Yeah, I could tell that you really had a very high level of engagement in both classes, which is pretty outstanding when you think about the age levels that you were working with, and also the fact that you had quite a few English learners and struggling learners, I would imagine, in those groups.
Mm-hmm. Especially in the third grade classroom, there are ELO students who are very low in the English proficiency, and then you have native English speakers. So you really have to try to find that middle ground to incorporate everything to better, differentiate the instruction throughout the entire lesson. As for the secondary, even up to the high school class, there were some students who were actually very low in their fluency when it comes to reading and writing. One thing that I did want to bring up, and that you and I had discussed earlier, was the importance of fluency not being just correlated with reading and literacy in that aspect, but also across all 4 language domains of listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Many of the students can speak, and you think that they do understand. They're using their BICS, that basic English that we talk about, but they don't always quite understand the CALP aspect, which is the cognitive academic language proficiency. And we can really help reinforce that whenever we do help build fluency across all 4 domains.
So BICS then is the basic language of the playground and of
The
society,
hallways.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the conversations in pretty low-level English that students participate in when they're with their peers or when they're at home, just relaxing with teachers or friends. But the cognitive academic language proficiency is the academic language. That's the vocabulary that we talked about in the first video module that involves content area vocabulary and also that process language that students need to understand in order to really do well on standardized tests and to engage in the language of instruction. So how does that relate to the reading fluency as far as understanding what they are reading and using that information to speak and write with that flow and command of the language that we're hoping for?
I will. I'll relate that to, think about a native English speaker how about you and I? We say, okay, you have your PhD. I'm going for an EDD in education, and so we're going to be doctors one day, except not doctors in the medical field. So put me in a situation where I'm in some hospital and I have to read a report that's given by the doctor or by a nurse. Well, I'm not going to have that academic language in the field of medicine per se, and so I'm going to sound like an MLL, a medicine language learner, because I'm not going to quite be able to speak with fluency. I'm not going to understand all of the words, what they mean, nor will I be able to even pronounce those words correctly. And so I think it's important to put it in that aspect that, yes, we know English very well, you and I, but you put us into a different arena in some other, organization, such as a hospital, like I said, and our fluency is going to go down. That's why we have to build it not with just reading, but orally as well, writing, and then the listening component too.
I'm glad you used that illustration because it really helps to highlight the idea that students need to use what they do know in order to make sense of what they don't know. It also kind of reinforces the idea that phonics and phonemic awareness, or being able to decode words or to repeat language that they've heard before, or to look for segments of language that they understand and then add to those segments, all play a role together in building fluency. So really creating a classroom environment and delivering instruction that has a lot of different ways to explore and practice language, both orally and in writing, to have language that is well modeled. And you did a great job in the clips of modeling the way you wanted language to be pronounced. And then giving them opportunities both with you in whole group and small group activities to really practice language that way.
It's really important to have a very language-rich environment regardless of the subject matter, whether it be science, math, English language arts, or history, anything, art. It can be an elective as well, but just to make sure that your environment provides a whole lot of word walls and things of that nature, and also within the literature that you're using in that classroom, that it's presented in a way that is going to be comprehensible for those students, but yet pushing them just a little bit further to really acquire not just language in general, but the language of that content.
So tell us a little bit about what you'd like for us to know about the nature of second language acquisition, or your experiences with English learners as it relates to fluency. What are some of the challenges that you see, and how have you come around them?
I've been teaching since 2008, and my first job teaching was a Spanish class to English speakers, and then shortly after that I was in a middle school teaching newcomer English language learners. And since then I've been around a whole lot of ELL students, all the way up to university levels actually, and I've asked all of them, the English speakers learning Spanish and then the ELLs, and I asked them the same question: what is the one thing, if I could tell a teacher one thing to help you better learn in that classroom, what would it be? And it always is if they would just speak more slowly. And we don't always quite realize how fast we do speak, and we speak so quickly because we have high fluency in the language plus in the content that we're teaching. And so I think to help really engage the students and help them better their fluency, really trying to slow down and be speech appropriate for those students will help them be better engaged.
Yeah, I think a lot of times teachers feel really pressured to cover a lot of standards in a short period of time. And it seems like as teachers, we always feel pushed to do more and get more in. And I think that if we can train our thinking so that we are saying less and meaning more, or saying less and doing more, we can actually cover a variety of standards and objectives by practicing skills. But we have to really take time to plan for that and think about how we can meaningfully incorporate those ideas so that all of these ideas can be practiced within a finite period of time.
Exactly. I think the key word there you said was meaningfully, and we have to always remember to make sure that our lessons are presented in such a way that it actually means something to the students, that we're not just scratching off some Common Core standard or Oklahoma academic standard or a Pascal or whatever anyone's using, but that we're actually creating a lesson that does, yes, incorporate that standard, and we want to help close those achievement gaps and really build upon student learning, but do it in such a way in which the students can relate to the lesson and be able to participate in that lesson.
I think that really makes a very motivating environment for students too. they are willing to take more chances if they recognize that everyone in the room is going to get something out of it, but also has an opportunity to safely ask questions and make mistakes, and to have those efforts be recognized as steps towards an end goal. And when we can recognize and reinforce that by giving positive feedback, I think that we really are doing ourselves and our students a huge favor.
Exactly. And you'll be surprised how much more fun the classroom really is.
And that's why we're really there, right?
Exactly,
At
yes.
least that's why the students are really there. So we have to make it
Make it
meaningful
fun
and
and meaningful. Exactly.
Great. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much, Susie.